In this episode of the Smart Community Podcast, I have a fascinating chat with Hyma Vulpala, the Deputy Director of Digital Workplace Research and Academic Information Services at La Trobe University. Now, when we recorded this a few months back, Hyma was the Head of Digital and Data for Yarra Ranges Council in Victoria, so you'll hear us refer to this quite a few times throughout the episode. Hyma tells us about her background in IT and digital, and her passion for the opportunities that the ever-changing digital space provides. She tells us some of the changes she has seen in this space over the last 2 decades and how the rates of technological change are really increasing, especially in the last 5 years. We discuss why smart city and community concepts are so important and will continue to be in the future. Hyma and I talk about the different industries in Australia that are adopting smart concepts and the dangers of not embracing digital transformation, including not being able to attract and retain the required skill sets. We discuss some of the projects Hyma has been working on at Yarra Ranges Council and the changes in community engagement, customer service, and communication styles that digital technology has facilitated. Hyma tells us about the ways Yarra Ranges Council needed to integrate across different departments in order to fulfill their digital strategy and the cultural shift that is needed for true digital transformation to occur. We finish our chat discussing the emerging trend of industries and employment that will be most affected by technology and the need to look at support, skill building, and employment opportunities, both for the impacted industries and also for young people just entering the workforce. As always, we hope you enjoy listening to this episode as much as we enjoyed making it.
Welcome to the Smart Community, Smart Regions, Smart Towns, and Smart Cities. It's where we live, work, and play. With smart communities, the future starts today. Big data, smart mobility, emerging trends galore. The Smart Community Podcast is what you're looking for.
Hello, Hyma. How are you today?
I'm very good, Zoe. How are you?
I am fabulous. I am so excited to have you on the podcast.
Same here.
Well, let's just jump straight in. And can you tell us about your background and what you're passionate about?
My background is in IT and digital, working in this industry for the last 2 decades, worked in every sector internationally. And my passion for digital is it's ever-changing, and also it gives me the opportunities to learn and evolve with the change, the way we live.
That's excellent. Well, tell us what sparked your interest in this smart cities and smart community space.
It's actually quite an exciting opportunity when I attended one of the meeting where one couple of vendors actually came and presented all the sensors and how it actually creates the connectivity between, various parts of whether it's a local government or infrastructure or, whether different levels of the government or the community. The key thing is sparked in me. My interest is the connectivity, the opportunities to increase the engagement with our community, and it improves the livability of people. And also it actually provides opportunities to operational efficiencies for the organizations. Indirectly, we're solving community problems or challenges and creating opportunities for them.
And I love that. I think, your second point there of engaging with the community, I think that's a really key one that we probably don't talk about enough.
Yep.
So what is a smart city or a smart community to you?
For me, a smart city or a community is harnessing the technological advancements and opportunities to modernize the way we live and work and improve our engagement with our local community.
Excellent. And why do you think that this concept is so important?
I think because of the way in this 21st century that digital and data, revolutionized the way we live and work and the opportunities it has created, and also the climate change, things that it's actually happening, and the exponential availability of data is allowing us to improve sustainability and also increased opportunities to economic development and also enhancing the quality of life. These are the factors. I think it's actually very important for the smart city or the smart community concept.
I'm interested just to go into your background a little bit more. What are some of the changes that you've seen being in this space for so long? has it always just, been increasing, the technology just coming along, or have you seen like a significant increase or a different focus on what technology can be used for?
I would actually say, being in this industry for almost 2 decades, in the last 3 to 5 years, actually, the increase of the technology has been almost tripled. On average, every human actually got at least 5 devices to manage or to use, and that is actually keep growing. And that actually created amount of data that we currently, or many businesses, doesn't know what to do with it. But the availability of that data is allowing us to analyze and then creating those opportunities. And this is going to grow even more than any reduction in technology usage. And with the smart city and with the smart city, the speed of internet and all of these things actually enhancing the way we actually do things. And we need to adapt, whether we like it or not, to harnessing the technological advancements and also improve the way we do things.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that no matter whether we like it or not, change is happening, and it will happen whether we're involved or not. So let's get involved and actually shape what we want our communities to actually look like.
Yep.
And how do you think that Australia is embracing, this smart city concept?
I think the smart city concept being introduced to Australia almost, I would actually say, around 10 years ago, but then it wasn't being discussed, or there is lack of awareness in many sectors. And I think since last 5 years, Australia is progressively adapting the technology which smart cities can provide, and also creating the opportunities. And some sectors actually adapted quite well, and others are still slowly realizing the benefits. And I would actually say the sectors like agriculture is really embracing this. And I would actually say that, they are the top compared to many industries. And now the transportation is realizing the same. And also many government or corporates realizing the benefits and then embracing that for their operational efficiencies, and also improving the productivity and, safety. And also, wherever there is a manual, intervention, that is actually being automated as well. So I think it's progressively adopting the technology which is available for currently.
What do you think the dangers are of not kind of embracing this change that's happening?
I think in any business or any industry, that if the industry is actually not realizing the benefits, whether it's a technology or anything, whatever is happening, if they don't realize it, unfortunately, the businesses no longer exist. The example is, there are many companies which came like Uber or, Netflix or Spotify. There's so many companies like that came and disrupted the way we used to do things. But now, if any business who doesn't really evolve with the change, I don't think that they would have any future. And particularly before, technology or data or, smart cities, anything, it wasn't there on the board's main agenda, but now it is becoming one, and it is becoming a mandatory skill for all the leaders, that they need to understand what technology stack they're investing in, what are the opportunities it's creating, and they need to understand what it means. Whereas before, most of the leaders actually doesn't need to have that. The IT's role was mainly rolling out the technology, but it's now, from regardless of which level, it's very, very important for any sector, whether it's a government or private, that digital capability building or the data capability building is becoming a mandatory skill that they need to harness to keep their jobs or to evolve with the change, to build their or upskilling. This is the future way of working, and we need to build that future workforce as well.
Yeah, and I think the skill sets, which is, something we were talking about earlier, the missing skill sets, which industries or which areas do you think are at most risk of not being able to, I guess, attract and retain the skill sets that are required?
I can't really specify any particular industry. It's actually happening across the board, whether it's all levels of government. I think I must say that the federal and state are a bit more advanced in this, building that or upskilling their workforce. However, some local governments are also following that path, but I would actually say that local governments still need to catch up, and they have a huge opportunity to increase or improve the skill set in the sector. because they are the direct link to the community, and the community is expecting the change, and they expect the service in a similar way as the corporates or the private companies are actually providing. They don't really see any difference between a private or a public. They're expected the service availability 24/7 using the digital channels. They got the power to make a difference now. Before, if you actually see, the community engagement used to happen face to face, but now most of the engagement actually happens using the digital channels. So they got the power in their hands to make that difference.
Yeah, I had a really great conversation this morning with a lady who engagement, Melissa, and she was saying a similar thing. I was asking her about, how engagement has changed, and it is those digital tools, and not just the tools themselves and the channels. It's actually those conversations that may have just happened at the kitchen table are actually happening in a public realm. Therefore, you're getting, negative and positive impacts of that as well. So yeah, really, really interesting stuff. And I think you are so right that those, the leaders will have advisors that are letting them know what's possible and moving with those trends, and or continuing to monitor those trends to see which way they need to move.
Yeah, a great example is, how often do we actually ring or go to any particular, service providers out face to face? Before we used to do everything by going in person, but now then we actually changed our communication style to emails, and then we're actually going even with phones, and then going out of phones to emails to now chatbots, and using all these Google, any chatbots or any kind of new technology which provide or answer what we are actually after, because people are time poor and they want everything done quickly and at their convenience. So, and I actually believe that, the technology and that, the opportunities it is creating is actually pushing the boundaries of the service delivery for any organization. And if they don't adapt sooner than later, I think it is going to be a big risk for them.
Absolutely. Okay, well, tell us about some of the projects and things that you're currently working on.
We at Yarra Ranges Council, I was leading the digital and data strategies for the organization to understand where we are and where we want to be. How do we actually protect our natural environment as well using the technological advancement and in the smart cities? We are just early stages of the smart cities, but however, we delivered the data governance framework to ensure our data is actually protected, and also we provide that trust to our end users as well, or the community. And we also deliver the digital strategy, and which actually enhances the way we actually work, and also upskill our staff and the workforce, and to increase the digital uptake and improve the operational efficiencies by communicating with our customers, on a proactive basis, and also the many opportunities that enhanced our service delivery.
Do you also look at it from operational cost savings and that type of thing? It's a question I've been getting a lot.
Yes, we have introduced the DocuSign. I think on my LinkedIn profile you would have noticed the case study DocuSign actually done on Yarra Ranges, that the amount of money that is actually saving to the council by adapting the technology before, and also saving the paper, which is indirectly we are contributing and reducing the greenhouse gas emissions. And then we're also at this stage in Yarra Ranges, you don't really see much paper usage at all. We hardly print. There are some unavoidable things that we have to do it, but there are most of the things that we actually cut down on paper usage or printing, and mostly everything is used digital first kind of a way of working. And we're moving into activity-based working, as you can imagine in activity-based working, that we will not be able to carry things around. And we are in the process of digitizing as many processes or applications as possible to ensure that, it's available on any device, anytime, anywhere.
Excellent. And that really leads to this next question, because I normally ask, how can we integrate across different disciplines, governments and industries, which I'm interested to hear your answer to that. But I'm keen to hear how you integrate it across different departments of your government.
Within the council, you mean, or outside of the council?
Within the council.
Within the council, because the digital transformation was an enterprise-wide initiative where we actually coordinated with the cross-functional teams to work and hear and engage with them to understand what their needs are and where the organization is going based on our objectives and how we want to improve and also how we embrace the technology to create that future skills are required to prepare the organization and work in an agile environment. And in mainly the cross-functional teams is, educating them, creating the awareness of the, what are the opportunities that we could leverage, and how do we actually improve the way we work, and how do we actually disrupt as well by taking these new ways of working.
If we think about this for local governments, the ability to attract and retain these skill sets that we were talking about, how important, is this kind of digital transformation in that space? Do you consider that when we're building this kind of smart city, smart community thing within local government?
It is extremely important to have the right skill set. And I think for any project, to be successful, you need to have the right mindsets, the right people with the right skills. If we do not have that coordination, I think it is going to be hard to deliver any project successfully. That's the reason why 60% of the digital transformation projects fail. It's not one of those things that you could just, yes, this is just a technology. Digital transformation is not about technology. It is about people, and it's a culture, that the cultural that initiative that we need to do in instilling that new ways of working using the technology. It's a cultural shift.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, it's a lot of the conversation I've been having lately, and some in the work I've been doing as well. It's like, okay, well, yeah, that's great. We can integrate that system and do all those things. But if you don't integrate the people, and if you don't bring them along the journey, and if you don't really focus on that change management, really invest resources in it, then it's never going to get over the line, never going to work.
Yeah, that's so true. Having the right mindset and also having the leadership support is extremely important as the change management. And also, it's not just the change management or the leadership support, but you need to get people on board and then take them on a journey of what the good looks like or what the future would look like. And one of the challenges or the thing that people need to realize, because this is something new, which they can't see it, but they can't feel it, they can only visualize. And that's the role that the leader or the head of whoever is managing the digital, transformation need to showcase to the people who are they working with, to how the good will look like and what are the key benefits, not only to the individuals, but also to the organizations. And as a result, what the results would look like for the community, that why we are doing this. Having the answer why and how, I think that actually helps in the successful delivery of digital transformation.
Okay, let's talk about integration across different disciplines, governments, and industries. Because I imagine as a local council, would have to be working, I guess, with other disciplines, but consultants, governments, academia, industries. Is there something that you did that really worked to better integrate across those different areas?
We actually worked with Yarra Ranges Tech School and also Eastern Region Libraries, that one of the body that we actually work, and Yarra Ranges Tourism Board. We are in the preliminary stages at the moment, but we are actually creating partnerships with them to ensure that we are again create opportunities to academia and also the councils, that how we could actually work together to provide a best customer experience to the community and also prepare our future workforce.
Excellent. So what are the emerging trends that people aren't talking about enough?
I think the emerging trends people are not talking about is mainly that, what the future would look like with these new technological advancements and the data it is actually available for people, and which industries are actually going to affect it, which industries are going to be affected the most. Based on my research and, that what I was actually looking into, it is the transportation and the hospitality and the medical are the main, which are immediately that people are not realizing that how it is going to change in the next 5 to 10 years and what skills are required, for those to support that change, and what happens to those people who are actually not able to keep up with the change, and how do we actually provide the employment opportunities to those. So those are the kind of things I think it is happening, really at a rapid speed. But are we actually realizing about it? Are we actually creating, how many organizations are realizing that digital capability building is the key for, to create those skill set for the workforce so that they're already adapting or future way of working or prepared for the future.
And I guess how important, and you said about the tech school, how important is it for I guess local governments or, governments in general, even companies, to kind of bring those young people in to at earlier stages, I suppose, to actually get on board with this stuff? Because I've been thinking about, entry to the workforce and the skill set that was required when even I was entering the workforce. It's quite different now. I mean, some jobs will be the same, hospitality or whatever, but you can have an entry-level job which is, very flexible. You can work from home. All you need is a computer or a laptop or even a smartphone, potentially. I guess, what are you seeing in that space of, are we engaging enough with young people?
I would actually say that, we need to engage more. We are engaging, but we are not engaging enough. We need to engage them more because they are the future generations. They are the millennials, that their way of working is completely different compared to the way we work now. And their expectations are different, and they want the flexibility. They want to use their own devices, so they don't want to stick to any particular way of working. They would like to have that flexibility. And entering the, millennials or providing that work experience with any of the government or corporate would actually enable the business to understand what they're looking for and also adapting to that change and also provide the required skills to the leaders in managing them.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's been so great to chat with you, Hyma. Thank you so much for coming onto the podcast.
Thank you, Zoe, for the opportunity. I really appreciate that as well.
I really, really have enjoyed our conversation. I look forward to our next conversation as well, because I know there'll definitely be one after this.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, I just have one last question, which is, how can people connect with you?
More than happy to connect on LinkedIn. Feel free to share my profile.
Excellent. We'll put the link in the show notes so people can click away and find you. Again, I really appreciate you coming on the podcast and having this conversation today.
Thank you.
We'll talk soon.
Sure.
Bye.
Bye.
The Smart Community podcast is brought to you by My Smart Community. If you're trying to deal with disruption, not sure what technologies to buy, need to facilitate genuine collaboration, then we can help. Email hello@mysmart.community or head to www.mysmart.community/consulting.
Thanks so much for listening to the Smart Community Podcast. Show notes for this episode and all other episodes are available on our website, mysmart.community/podcast. If you have any questions for us or any of our guests, you can email hello@mysmart.community. You can also find us on the socials. We are on LinkedIn and Twitter @SmartComHQ. That's com with 2 M's. If you are enjoying the podcast, please hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. And we would love for you to leave us a rating and review at wherever you listen. This really helps us reach more ears and eyes, so thank you for your support. As always, we hope you enjoyed listening to this episode as much as we enjoyed making it.
The Smart Community Podcast is what you're looking for.